Welcome everybody to part 8 of the ACE video blog series, and we're going to be talking about what we need to tell NRC, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and all other elected officials until Limerick closes. Lou, let's get into this. What is the most pressing thing that we need to do?
Well, there are three, Nick, and we've said right from the outset of this series, from part 1, and we've said through several other parts, three things need to happen. We need immediate notification of radiation releases from the NRC and Exelon, and we need them pretty quickly. So if we're not going to get them from the industry and we're not going to get them from NRC, we're saying we need independent monitoring so that the public can get timely information when there's a problem. And that could be a number of things. It could be a sustained problem, or it could be an event or an incident where radiation levels are just much higher than normal. Mm-hmm. So if that happens, we believe the public has a right to know. People can make their own determination and then attempt to protect themselves and their families. So that's really important. Why is that important? Well, it's important because if there's an accident, a lot of really severe things can happen. I mean, as far back as 1980, the Congress was told that for Limerick specifically, if there's a major problem, if there is a serious accident, we should expect as many as 74,000 early fatalities, 610,000 early injuries, and 34,000 cancer deaths, short-term and long-term. And we've had a whole lot more people live here.
Yeah, so that's back in 1980.
Right.
The population has doubled at least by then, since then.
Oh yeah, exactly. We're now looking at about $1 trillion event if something happens. Not to mention just the human toll and human suffering. That's the first thing. You know, why this needs to happen. We need to have this immediate notification so that we can protect ourselves. The second thing that we need, and we've said this in a couple of previous programs, is we need to expand the evacuation zone from 10 miles to 50 miles. And there are a number of reasons for that. We just simply need to demand it. Plenty of evidence why, plenty of reason why, more than sufficient justification. I mean, Fukushima is the most recent event that told us we need to do this. I mean, U.S. dependents in Japan were advised by U.S. officials to evacuate 50 miles. If it's good enough there, Nick, it's good enough here.
So, Lou, when you think about that, though, a 50-mile radius around the nuclear power plant, where does that take us? That's way beyond Philadelphia and down the other directions and west, for every direction, right? That's what you're talking about, right?
That's what we're talking about. And we've got a graphic here, and we'll have some graphics on the screen during this program that will make it clear to people that this is a big deal. This is an enormous concern. 50 miles makes this much, much larger and includes all of the metro Philadelphia region and a much larger area in every direction from this plant. The third thing that we need is we need to expand the ingestion pathway zone from 50 to 100 miles. We talked about this in some previous segments in this series. It's critical that we can have some assurance that we're not going to immediately lose a huge amount of our food supplies, food and water. Radioactive water cannot safely be consumed, no matter what this industry may attempt to tell us or what the NRC may attempt to tell us. So we need to make sure that we get some messages out to elected officials. That's our focus for this program.
In previous sections that we've done, we've talked about what would happen and how people would respond. We talked about the number of buses that would be needed for kids and ambulances and all of that stuff. But though we're talking about a 10-mile radius. Now, if you expand that to 50 miles, what happens to the level of panic and congestion and everything? I mean, the evacuation, it would be total insanity. You couldn't go anywhere because now we're expanding it out to 50 miles. So how will people go anywhere? To me, in other words, the 50 miles has to be there, but that just shows you how bad the situation is.
Exactly. It magnifies the significance of the problem.
Exactly.
The radioactive plume is not going to stop at the 10-mile limit.
Right.
So, from the standpoint of disclosure and giving people a fair chance to make informed decisions to protect themselves and their families, that's where we need to go. We're talking about millions of people in the greater Philadelphia region who could become nuclear refugees. That's a phrase that we've used in some previous parts of this series. People could lose a lot of things, and there'll be a graphic on the screen that'll indicate what could happen here. in addition to becoming nuclear refugees, this is a very real possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened around Chernobyl, it happened around Fukushima.
Exactly.
So we're talking about people, and Donna mentioned this previously, they could lose their health. They could lose their lives, literally. I mean, depending on where they are and how long they're exposed and whatever the radiation levels are. But everybody who's watching this program in the greater Philadelphia region risks losing their homes. I mean, the phrase dead zone, is there for a reason. There are gigantic areas around places like Chernobyl and Fukushima that will become dead zones. People are not going back to those houses. They will never live in those homes again. And all the businesses in that immediate region would suffer the same fate. Just think about all the people who are watching this program who either own businesses or who go to work every day in businesses that won't be usable. I mean, they'll be gone. They'll be part of a dead zone. Think about all the jobs that could potentially be lost. Thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs could be lost. And they'd have to be, relocated somewhere else. Think about all the things that are close to your heart if you're watching this video. All of your possessions. Unless you are prepared to evacuate and take everything that's of significance to you monetarily and emotionally and personally, including all your photographs, all of your personal items at home, all of the things that have been handed down from generation to generation that are sitting in homes in this area, all of your possessions could be gone forever.
Mm-hmm. People think, and I'm thinking about this as you're talking to us, but do people think that they're going to get, in a sense, compensated for these kinds of things? And if so, who's going to compensate them?
Well, if you're thinking you're going to be compensated, my advice is you need to think again, because it's been pretty clear based on our investigation that unless this zone is expanded, you will receive nothing. There is no accountability or responsibility or commitment to make people whole beyond the 10-mile zone. So if you live at 10.5 miles out to wherever, between there and any farther out point, you're on your own, Nick.
Mm-hmm. So within the 10 miles, because that's what they've determined, there could be some compensation, but if you live a block past 10 miles, basically, you know what could happen.
You are SOL, surely out of luck, Nick.
Thank you. Yeah.
So obviously, this is very, very important. If you're watching this video and you're not sure where you live relative to the Limerick nuclear plant, our advice to you is you probably need to know where you live relative to the Limerick nuclear plant. You can check that through our website and through some other sources pretty quickly. You need to know what's at risk in the event that a serious problem occurs here.
And who's responsible for taking care of these things? I mean, are there specific agencies? And when we talk about the NRC all the time, but are there specific agencies? Are there local agencies? Who's responsible for all of this stuff? To manage it, to take care of it, to notify us? All of those things.
That's a very good question, Nick. And our investigation suggests that is something less than clear. There's a whole lot of this going on. Mm-hmm. We don't do radiation. We don't do transportation. We don't do plumes. We don't do water. There's a whole lot of interagency confusion. Matter of fact, there's a major battle going on right now at the federal level among and between several agencies, including the NRC, Homeland Security, FEMA, and EPA and a few others about who's responsible to whom for what. This is, if it weren't so serious, it would almost be as humorous as an Abbott and Costello routine. But this is literally life and death, and whether or not you lose everything that's important to you in your world.
And if each agency says it's not my responsibility, it's like the people who work in some stores. You say, well, you ask them a question, well, don't ask me, I only work here.
Right.
If we can't identify who's responsible, then there's not going to be anyone to take responsibility if we ever survive something like this.
Exactly, and that's why we're advocating that people create their own plan while we push for immediate notification, make an informed decision, take action, because if you're waiting, you're going to be like somebody that was standing on a bridge not too many years ago asking what happened with a serious storm. We have a list of 10 items here, Nick, that I literally want to share, and I'm sure this is going to be on our screen. Why is it important that people who are watching this program and everybody that we know contact elected officials today? A couple of things. Limerick can't be made fail-safe. Risks are continually increasing. We've talked about this in some previous programs. There's a history of problems causing concern. Population has increased dramatically. Roads haven't improved. We're not evacuating safely or promptly. Radiation can start escaping in the first 30 minutes. The NRC pared down plans and drills. Number 8, Limerick's evacuation plan is not going to protect public health, safety, or finances. Number 9, Philadelphia is only 20 or 21 miles from Limerick, depending on how you measure it. And number 10, we now have more than 8 million people within 50 miles of Limerick, yet there is still no requirement for immediate notification. That's shameful.
Shameful, insanity. I mean, I just can't understand it. And I always say that people who could make the difference, our elected officials, they have the ability to stop this, don't they? They have an ability to close it now. It doesn't have to wait until the license runs out, or does it have to wait?
Well, under current federal law, it would take a major disaster to shut the place down tomorrow. There have been calls for shutting it down from a lot of officials, including a former chairman of the NRC, who has said publicly in 2013 that he doesn't believe they're safe, that they should be shut down, like tomorrow. So short of that, we would look to expiration of licenses. Current licenses for Limerick expire in 2024 and 2029. What we're saying is under no circumstance, can those licenses be extended.
Is the reactors that are at Limerick, are they similar to any of the other ones where we've had these problems before?
Great.
Like Fukushima or Chernobyl or any of the ones?
A great question, Nick, and the answer is yes. GE Type 1 and Type 2 reactors are the same equipment that was involved in the meltdowns at Fukushima. And the people that have installed them in U.S. reactors have been warned repeatedly that they are potentially faulty.
So they already have a design flaw built into them. Right. We know this information. See, the thing that's interesting to me, Lou, when we've done these segments, is that we know all of this stuff, and yet they're not doing anything about it. Well, it's like we're supposed to live with it. We're like the canary in the coal mine.
Well, we are unwilling subjects of a pretty dangerous radioactive experiment, according to a number of experts. You know, the answer is elected officials can do something. They should do something. It's up to us to demand that they do something. And the people who are watching this blog need to reach out to all of their elected officials. ACE will be meeting with a number of elected officials, and we will be available to meet with any elected official or body of elected officials that wants to meet with us to review this information. This is verified, documented, evidentiary information, Nick. This is not pie-in-the-sky assumptions and spin-free information provided by the nuclear industry that I called self-serving fiction.
Right.
This is fact, and elected officials need to step up. Donna said in a previous segment, they could have done it in the 1980s. It happened in New York, didn't happen here. Our officials now get a second bite of a poison apple that they can turn around so that it's edible. They can take a bite out of the clean side of this apple and shut this thing down, not renew these licenses.
Wow. I mean, it's just incredible and unbelievable. There's no words actually to describe what the potential harm could be. So we need to focus on this and on getting people to talk to their elected officials. The website, if they go to the website, what will they find there?
They'll find all of this information plus all the detail to support it and all the documentation that is part of the research that we've done. If people want to go to our website, www.acereport.org, all 8 of these segments, these video blog segments, are there in video and with all of the supporting documentation. And anyone who wants to meet with us to sit and talk about any of these issues, give us a call, 610-326-2387. We will meet with any residents of the area and certainly with any elected officials. This is literally a life and death kind of a situation, Nick.
It's immediate. People can't wait on this. It isn't. When you say it's life and death, it's life and death in the immediacy of it, of doing it. It needs to be done now. People need to find out about this.
Without a doubt, Nick.
Well, Luke, thanks for bringing all of this information to us, folks. You can get this at the website as well, of course, and thanks for watching this series, the video blog series, ACE video blog series. This is Nick Lawrence, and we'll see you the next time, right?